Hey there, welcome back to The Daily. This is Adriana. It's really wonderful to be back here with you today as we continue to explore our theme of the month, which is acceptance. So for today's practice, I wanted to make sure that we at least touch on something that I think is really important and supportive when it comes to our practice of acceptance, which is boundaries. And I know that up until this point, we have been talking quite a bit about acceptance, something that we very much practice on the meditation seat, as being a practice of meeting our current and present reality at face value, right? And I know that it's been said a number of times that we don't need to like what's happening. We don't need to agree with what's happening. We don't even need to condone what's happening. But there is something about accepting what is happening at face value in real time that opens up some choices and some options for us of how we want to engage, how we want to participate, and how we want to respond in that situation because we see it clearly, because we're accepting it for what it is. So when it comes to how we want to engage or respond after accepting the situation at face value, something that can sometimes be necessary is setting some boundaries, particularly if those circumstances are unhealthy for us in some way. You know, it could be emotionally unhealthy, mentally unhealthy, physically unhealthy. And this might mean dynamics, it might mean behavior, it might mean choosing not to accept what is happening in a way that makes it clear to both ourselves and others that this is unacceptable behavior. So when it comes to boundaries, I very frequently think of boundaries as being like a screen door, right? So it isn't like one of those big, heavy oak doors. When we close a big, heavy oak door, nothing gets through. And this is like setting barriers. And sometimes setting up some really strong barriers and closing ourselves off from something is necessary, particularly if it's a, kind of toxic or abusive situation. But boundaries allows some air to flow through. Boundaries still allow some communication to happen. It's just that we're choosing that there are certain things that we're not actually going to allow to permeate our space, right? When my screen door is open, I'm saying, yeah, I want that fresh air, but I don't want the mosquitoes and I don't want the flies and I don't want my pets getting out. So we have to keep some boundaries up here. And when it comes to boundaries in practice, I very frequently think about this as choosing what we are going to let in, what we're going to pick up, and what we're going to gracefully decline. And that might look like, again, unhealthy dynamics or people who treat us in a certain way. That we can say, you know what, that's not actually mine, right? Like your stress, your panic, your anger, your aggression, I see that and I accept that that's coming through here, but I'm not going to pick it up. I'm choosing to leave that on the table. Like, thank you for bringing it into this space, but it's not mine and it's not helpful. And so I'm just going to choose to leave this here on the table. And it's a lot like what we do in meditation when we encounter thoughts of any form, right? Sometimes we might decide to kind of like pick that thought up and look at it a little bit and turn it over. But at some point we know that it's time to just put it down and come back to the important matter at hand, which is feeling the body breathe. And boundaries can be very similar, where we might pick something up for a moment and go, nope, you know what? I'm actually not going to take this on. Thank you for bringing that to the table. And also, that's yours. It's not mine. And I'm going to choose not to pick it up. I'm going to choose not to absorb it. So I hope that's useful. I hope that's helpful. Accepting current reality as it is, but also being somewhat discerning about what we pick up and take with us and what we can regretfully, gracefully decline. It's yours, not mine. Thank you for the offer, but it doesn't serve me. So with that said, taking a moment here just to decide on our seat. And as always, once we have found our seat, taking a moment to decide on our gaze. So eyes open or eyes closed. And then it's taking a few moments as always to open our practice by opening our senses. Shifting the attention over to sound. Just receiving the sound of the space that we're in. Taking in the tonal quality. And welcoming whatever noises might be present. And if we're in a perfectly silent space, maybe even noticing what it's like to listen through that silence. And staying open to the sound of the room. And shifting the attention to touch. So taking a few moments to really just land in our bodies. Feeling the weight of the body against the chair, the floor. And really just allowing ourselves to release that weight fully. Letting ourselves be held up, supported. And taking in the texture of clothing against our skin. And temperature of the air in the room. And dropping the attention into the feet. Just feeling our feet here. Texture, temperature, feeling where the feet make contact. Tracing the attention across the soles of the feet. Through the ankles, along the shin bones. Circling the kneecaps. Grazing through the thighs. Landing in the hips. Feeling where our sit bones make contact. Continuing to move through our body. Bringing the attention to the tailbone, sacrum, base of the spine. Just beginning our slow, deliberate climb through the lower back, middle back, upper back, light extension at the crown of the head. Dropping the attention into the belly, the chest. Taking just a few moments here in the belly, the chest. Maybe just giving ourselves a quick temperature check. Noticing if there's anything that feels particularly active or alive here in this space in the body. And oftentimes the storehouse of emotion, the belly, the chest. It's getting a sense if there's anything residual that we're bringing into practice. It's all grist for the mill. Continuing to rest here in the front body. It's establishing contact with the body, breathing. Tip of the nose, back of the throat, belly. Just feeling the way the breath moves in the body today. Continuing to allow the attention to ride the cycle of breath as it moves through the body. We'll just continue into practice using that singular instruction that as our minds wander, which they naturally will, just noticing when we've left our breathing, acknowledging what captures our attention, and then gently, firmly coming back to the breath in the body. So as we settle into practice together, perhaps finding that we're still fixated on our previous preoccupation, the previous event. Maybe just noticing that the mind is spitting up some random thoughts, or maybe lost in a narrative. Wherever we happen to find ourselves, of course, no big deal. Just taking a moment to consciously put it down, recognizing that we can always pick it back up. Just acknowledging where we've landed and feeling the body breathe. And again, if we've drifted, it's ushering the attention back. And maybe even giving ourselves a proverbial step back, getting a slightly more objective view. So again, feeling our bodies in space, breath inside the body, staying watchful of the mind, and resting here. This is it. So one thing that might become very quickly apparent in practice is that we oftentimes have very little control over what our mind lands on or latches on to, the thoughts or emotions that come to the forefront. But we do have a bit of choice as to how we meet this situation, and what we choose to pick up, explore, carry with us, and what we choose to graciously put down. So again, each time that we find ourselves drifting out, knowing that this is the real crux of practice, the opportunity for choice. Just meeting and accepting what honestly arises, making the choice to acknowledge it, but put it down, and returning back to the breath in the body, and just letting ourselves be here. Can I let this moment fully register? Just this. And again, wherever we happen to find ourselves, it's giving a light touch of recognition, placing that down, bringing the attention back to the body, back to the breath. And when we relocate ourselves here, really stick that landing like a gymnast. Cheerful, decisive, I'm here. This is it. And then in our final few moments of practice together, it's taking the opportunity to reconnect to what it is that brought you here. Why yes? Why make the effort? Just recommitting to that moment of choice. And extending a bit of thanks to ourselves. Maybe a hand on the heart, kind word, a little bit of credit for taking the time, making the space, working with your mind, and taking care of yourself in this way. And then as you're ready, just allowing formal practice to drop and coming back in together at your own pace, no rush. Great. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for practice. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.